Welcome to an overview of the Liberty Protection Safeguards. We will call this the LPS from now on. I'm David Pennington and I'm the co-chair of the National NHS Clinical Reference Group for the Liberty Protection Safeguards.
And I'm Shelley Farnan. I'm also a co-chair of the Liberty Protection Safeguards Clinical Reference Group. Let's begin our conversation with the European Convention of Human Rights, which has many articles that protect people's rights, such as Article 8, the right to respect for private and family life. There's another right within that, the right to liberty, Article 5, and this can only be overridden when there is a legal process followed, such as when people are deprived of their liberty because of the criminal justice process. Within health and social care, there are some individuals who may need to have their liberty restricted or deprived to maintain their safety, and this is in their best interest. The LPS will be the new legal mechanism to support decision making for people who do not have the capacity to consent to their liberty being restricted in their best interests in order to receive care or treatment.
The LPS is part of the Mental Capacity Act and is therefore underpinned by the 5 key principles of the MCA. These are a presumption that the individual has capacity unless it can be demonstrated that they do not. Individuals should be supported to make their own decision, and we should do everything that's reasonably possible to help that individual to regain capacity to make that decision. If somebody makes an unwise decision, this does not mean they lack capacity. Any decisions made for someone who lacks capacity must be in their best interests. And finally, whatever we do for that individual that lacks capacity, it should be the least restrictive option possible.
Currently, the law in England and Wales to deprive someone of their liberty sits under the Deprivation of Liberty Safeguards. This only applies to people in hospitals, NHS or private, or in CQC registered care or nursing homes. For all other situations, currently an application to the Court of Protection is required. Under DoLS, a doctor and a best interest assessor, or BIA for short, will undertake 6 different assessments, which includes an age assessment, as DoLS only applies to those aged over 18. Once the assessments are complete, a request for the deprivation of liberty to be authorised under the DoLS scheme is made to the local authority, who are called the supervisory body for hospitals and care or nursing homes.
So, the law to deprive someone of their liberty will be changing from DoLS to LPS. This is known as the Mental Capacity Amendment Act 2019. And the new legislation will have an accompanying code of practice and 6 associated regulations. When the LPS starts, there will be a period where some people will still be subject to DoLS and others will be subject to the new LPS framework. For both groups, the Mental Capacity Act will still apply.
One of the most important aspects of the changes is to continue to ensure that people's human rights are protected, especially those people that may need to have restrictions placed on them in their best interest, who cannot consent to these arrangements. The LPS arrangement target resources at those people with the most needs. So, people have better experience of LPS, with improved quality of care, greater flexibility to support those with the greatest needs, and be more efficient and be better value for money.
Currently, under DoLS, we have best interest assessors, known as BIAs, to oversee all applications. These will be replaced with approved mental capacity professionals, or AMCPs for short. They will focus in on those with the greatest needs. The new arrangements will reduce the number of assessments from 6 to 3, including an assessment of capacity, as you can only use LPS for those who lack capacity. Unlike DoLS, which can only run for a maximum of 1 year at a time, LPS has a process to enable a series of renewals based on the original assessments. Also, unlike DoLS, which can only apply in one setting at a time, LPS can include other settings, such as respite care or a planned hospital admission, and therefore can be viewed as having an element of portability. As part of the LPS planning process, it is also possible to include issues such as how the person will be legally transferred from one care setting to another.
Unlike DoLS, which only applies to people aged over 18, LPS covers those aged 16 and over, thus bringing it into line with the rest of the Mental Capacity Act. Like DoLS, LPS authorises for a person to be in a specific place to receive care and/or treatment. However, it does not authorise the care and treatment itself. This comes under the wider MCA. Currently, the local authority is the supervisory body for DoLS. This will change to a responsible body and will now include NHS organisations such as NHS hospitals and integrated care boards, formerly known as CCGs. Please see the clipboard with some of the key headlines of what LPS can and cannot be used for.
So Shelley, the LPS, is it actually portable?
It is, David, so long as the change of circumstance or location has been anticipated and included into the original care plan that is authorised. So in that circumstance, it could be viewed as portable.
So would that include transport, such as ambulance transport, within the scope of LPS?
Absolutely, because if you've predicted that a person is to move from setting A to setting B, then the transport to get from one to the other will be included in that original authorisation. Additionally, it authorises the return of someone to a particular setting, so long as that setting is in that care plan and therefore authorised.
So now LPS covers 16 and 17-year-olds. Does that mean that those who have parental responsibility can give consent for LPS?
No, they can't. This is because of a court case called Re D, which held that those with parental responsibility cannot consent for a 16 or a 17-year-old to be deprived of their liberty in their best interest to receive care or treatment in the same way that they cannot for an 18 and over child of theirs. This brings it into line with the wider Mental Capacity Act.
Shelley, what happens in an emergency? What if somebody's involved in an accident and needs some urgent treatment? Do they have to stop and apply for LPS?
Absolutely not. We don't need the bureaucracy in the way of saving someone's life. There is a section within LPS, section 4B, which covers life-sustaining treatment and vital acts. This is the provision to give life-sustaining treatment or carry out vital acts in an emergency in a person's best interest. So, David, we've established under LPS that the role of responsible body would be more than just the local authority. So who are they?
For those people who are receiving hospital treatment, the NHS Hospital Trust where they are will be the responsible body. For those people who are receiving mental health treatment in an inpatient setting, it will be the Mental Health Trust that will be the responsible body.
What about care homes?
It comes down to if the person is in receipt of or is eligible for continuing healthcare, it will be the ICB. For everybody else, it will be the local authority that will be the responsible body.
So that will cover community, private hospitals and hospices.
Yes, the only exception are those people in the community who would be eligible or in receipt of CHC, where it will be the ICB that will be the responsible body. So when we said continuing healthcare, Shelley, does that include things like Section 117 aftercare? If someone's receiving that, is that continuing healthcare?
No, it doesn't. That comes under the Mental Health Act and is therefore part of the continuing healthcare funding.
What about those arrangements where there's funded nursing care for individuals?
Again, that doesn't come under continuing healthcare. The money may come from the ICB, but it's from a different pot of monies and not part of the continuing healthcare funding stream.
What about those arrangements where the local authority and the ICB joint fund packages of care for individuals? Is that included?
It isn't. That's because if you're eligible for CHC funding, your funding will be 100% by the ICB, and therefore joint packages do not meet the criteria.
And what about those young people under 18 who are in receipt of continuing care? Are they included?
It sounds similar, but it's actually a different funding stream again. So continuing care is a non-mandatory way of funding care for the under 18s, whereas continuing health care is for those aged 18 and over, and therefore the ICB will only be the responsible body for people in receipt of continuing health care.
In summary, the LPS are all about protecting people's Article 5 rights. It's about providing protection when their liberty needs to be deprived in their best interests to receive care and treatment which they can't consent to. LPS will support ensuring that the right people are getting the right protections at the right time.
It applies to those aged 16 plus in any setting for those who lack capacity to consent by following a process of assessments and authorisations. LPS seeks to put the person at the heart of the process. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short animation. I hope it was helpful. I've been Shelley Farnan and
I've been David Pennington.